to my... Hello, my dance friends, and welcome to my channel. Today, we get to chat with my friend Liora again. I'm super excited because we get to talk about one of my favorite things, the Renaissance Fair. We had such a long visit last time that I had to dissect our chat. So this is actually part 2 of our original chat. So today we get a little more information from Liora about performing at Renaissance Festival. So I'm linking part 1 here, and I'll link it below as well. But if you haven't seen a video with Liora in it just yet, she's one of my favorite dancers. She's local to Austin, Texas. She teaches world fusion dance. She actually just started a Patreon page. I'll also be linking that below. She's also the president of the Migrations World Dance and Music Festival right here in Austin, and she dances at the Sherwood Forest Fair in Texas every season with the Hands of Fatima dancers and musicians. She's a natural performer. She interacts with the audience so well. She always has elaborate costuming and accessories. She makes her own costuming and accessories. Linked below, I got you. Last time she gave us some tips on audience interaction, on how to prepare well for being at a Renaissance festival, and we're gonna get just a few more tips today on how to thrive, survive, and perform at a Renaissance festival. So without further ado, here's Liora.
So you're telling us that there is so much involved. There's this whole culture around Ren Fair. There is the performance aspect and knowing the crowds. There's all age ranges and so much that goes into it that it doesn't even involve your performance prep, your costume wear and tear, maintenance. There's so much that goes into it. Within that scope, is there a tip or two that you might see as your top ones or within your top range of tips for people that are maybe just starting out?
There are 3 major things that you need to be a Renaissance Festival performer. And this is my personal thing. I've grouped them into 3 large categories. So the first thing is you need to be prepared costume-wise. Tap into that. I was a Girl Scout for a few years, always be prepared in advance. So like in terms of preparing, you want to prepare yourself. Number 1, you need to have footwear that you can wear outside, that you can wear in all elements. Sometimes it rains and we have to do our shows in the rain. Sometimes it's freezing cold and we have to do our shows when we're freezing. So in terms of like costuming and footwear, as a dancer, you're going to need flexible footwear, but you want to be in character. Pick up a pair of boots. Save your money up. Buy a pair of Renaissance Festival boots or shoes that have a flexible sole. Buy breathable fabrics. Cotton, when it's colder, heavier layers, but natural fabrics. Dress in layers, because depending on where you're at, like Texas has this weird weather system where it's freezing cold in the morning and burning hot in the afternoon. Maybe in the day you start out and I'm wearing 2 pairs of socks, my Renaissance Festival boots, leggings, pantaloons, a big skirt, a hip scarf, a belt, a bodysuit, a gauzy coat, a vest, gloves. I'm wearing a scarf. I'm wearing everything I can to keep warm, but at the same time, maybe at the end of the day, I'm going to have to shed half of that stuff. By wearing fabrics and footwear that are outdoor friendly in any weather, and fabrics that are breathable and wash friendly, because on the days that are hot, you are going to sweat and sweat and sweat, and it's going to smell. And if you're wearing bras and belts, you're going to have to air out your bras and belts. You're going to have to wash your pants and your skirts and whatnot. In terms of, what to bring along with that, hack a sewing kit. I don't even care if you just throw some pins and needles, a spool of thread in, and a couple of safety pins and a couple of hooks. I have spent many hours fixing my costumes, fixing other dancers' costumes that have busted during the day. I had a bra pop open. Fortunately, I was wearing a vest over it, so it popped open. It was like, oh, well, once the show is over, I shall go back to the camp and sew it back together. This season, one of our dancers, her skirt wasn't well made. One of the tiers parted and it was like a foot and a half long. And so she stood there and I was back at the camp, hand sewing it back into place so that she could go back on to stage. Bring good food to eat. Like, of course, go out and patronize the restaurants and the food stands at the fair, but it gets expensive. Bringing lots of healthy food and lots of healthy snacks. I eat salads and bananas and fresh fruit smoothies and fruit and hard-boiled eggs all day until I get to the end of the day and I'm done performing. So I'm trying to eat as healthy as possible. Lots of water. Oh my God, lots of water. Sherwood is really awesome in providing all of the performers, the participants, with bottles and bottles and bottles and jugs of water backstage. It never hurts to bring more because you will sweat it off. You're doing 4 to 5 shows a day. They're 30 to 45 minutes long. And while you're drinking water in the fair, buy yourself a wooden mug or a pewter mug or a mug that looks Renaissance-y. This mug, it's this beautiful striped wooden mug, and I've got a leather lid on it that's connected so I don't ever lose my lid. I definitely recommend springing for the extra leather lid that goes on top based on the amount of dirt and dust. I go home at night and I have dirt and dust in every single crease, and some of them I don't know how the dirt got there. And then I have another, this is the first mug I bought, and it's embellished with a horse. I grew up riding horses. I love horses. My personal favorite, there is a blacksmith farrier out at Sherwood that they make mugs and goblets and shot glasses out of actual bark, and then they forge iron handles. Sherwood is very, very particular about this. I don't know about the other Renaissance festivals. I've not had the opportunity, the honor to perform. Sherwood wants to create that experience, and so they say, even if you're just walking around in between shows, don't be walking around with a bottle of beer or a bottle of Coke or whatever. You're kind of ruining the go back in time aspect of it. Buy a mug. Most, if not all, Renaissance festivals have places that sell wooden mugs. In terms of like my third thing that I think that you should have to be ready to be a performer is create a persona. You are part of the cast. You're part of the scenery. You're part of the experience. You want to help transport them back in time. Most Renaissance festivals, they're set in England. So most of the participants and the vendors will have quasi-British accents and try to use Old English style phrases to help transport our patrons back in time. My troupe, we are basically kind of nomadic that has traveled around. We kind of consider ourselves Roma influenced. So what we do is we go for the more Eastern European Slavic type accents. And for me in particular, my mom's longtime significant other, Colleen, he is from Romania. He came to the US in the 70s, and he has a very, very thick, beautiful Romanian accent. So when I get on stage, my character, I try to sound like Colleen. So I try to pull him into this character that I'm creating, and at least for me personally, it helps me feel more confident and less anxious on stage. I'm not being me, everyday me. I am being Liora, a member of Hands of Fatima. I am here at Sherwood Forest Fair. I am here to entertain you and show you wonderful time. But it helps because then I'm not sharing myself with the world, I'm sharing my character with the world, and I'm also able to create an experience for the patrons.
Yeah, and that may be something that's like super appealing to a dancer, or it may be something that is absolutely terrifying to a dancer.
You know, what I tell people about performing at Renaissance festivals, when we're on stage, we are having a good time. My group, we've got, I think there's 11 of us with dancers and musicians, and we've created this family. We rehearse all the year round, and we've created this safe, positive, loving environment for our group. And that's important because it is hard work. It can be brutal. And I remember the first season I did it, I went home, I was exhausted. My first season, I was only part-time. I did a couple of shows because I was like, I don't know about this thing. And then at the end of that season, I was like, dude, I'm in. And so I signed up 100% full-time. I was going to be full-time the whole season. And I work a 40-hour-a-week job. And then I was performing 2 days a week at Sherwood, and we were doing 3-4 shows a day. Plus I was wandering around and interacting with patrons and of course going shopping.
Well, yeah, of course.
It's exhausting work. You got to build up your stamina. You got to take care of yourself. You got to drink lots of water. You got to eat healthy, and you got to understand it's exhausting. And if you do like 2 days in a row, by the end of the second day, you're like, dude, I want a beer and I want to go home. It looks like a lot of fun, and it is, but the other side of that, it is a lot of hard work. And I'm weird because I love both of those things.
Well, thank you so much for the visit today.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
That's it, guys. I'll be linking all of Leora's information down below so you can check out her upcoming classes, performances, and all of the cool stuff she makes if you need a costume or some accessories. If you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. It really helps out a lot. I want to keep making videos like this for you. Also, this week's Patreon shout out is to Erica Noble in Montana. Thanks for joining me today, guys. Yeah, that's good.